webinar. I want to really thank the team that has put this webinar together. I want to thank Mr. Lins, who has done all the technical requirements for this webinar. And also to thank Dr. Nima Badrkoohi, who is CEO of Saman Technical Services in Dubai, and who happens to be one of the CEO of the company that we serve as a firm, for accepting to moderate and to give a lot of guidance and input in the preparation of this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this webinar is to provide a step-by-step guide. We don't intend to provide an academic picture of how a business person or a company that intends to invest in Uganda should do. We want this webinar to be able to provide technical step-by-step guide, which is informed by our experience serving cross-border clients and setting up several and are already doing business. I want, in a very special way, to appreciate our clients and people who are not our clients, who have seen that we have prepared a useful event and have already signed up and are attending this webinar. We are very, very grateful. I have been advised that we have participants from the United Kingdom. I want to appreciate you in a very special way. I have been also advised that we have participants from China. I've also been advised that we have participants from the United Arab Emirates. I have also been advised that we have participants from India and many other parts of the world. I want to appreciate you for choosing to attend to this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been introduced as a managing partner at DIT Advocates. DIT Advocates is a firm that is located in the heart of Kampala, in Uganda, in Africa. I happen to be an advocate of the High Court of Uganda and all other courts in Uganda. I also happen to be a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitration of the United Kingdom. I also happen to be a member of the Uganda Law Society, the East African Law Society, and the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. I also happen to be the board chair of CAA Limited and the incoming board chair for Impressions Global. I am currently litigating at the European Court of Human Rights at Strasbourg in France. And a bit of that engagement has enabled me to appreciate what an investor intending to start up in Uganda needs to do. We have carefully prepared an outline where we will have a discussion, firstly by introducing Uganda as the Pearl of Africa. We are passionate about Uganda and we will not forget to introduce it and to highlight a few aspects of it that makes it the Pearl. I will also take you through macro and micro economic aspects of this country. I do know that every investor would want to understand clearly the macro and the microeconomic aspects of the country where they wish to invest. I will also pick from the national priorities as defined by a government. Understanding the priorities of a government or a country where you choose to invest is a very important aspect before you step out to do business. I'll also walk you through the investor regulatory scope. When you arrive in Uganda, even before you arrive in Uganda, what do you do? And what are those different entities that you must ensure that you comply with their requirements? We shall discuss that at length. I also take you through the Uganda tax structure and the tax exempt sectors. People who understand tax very well always say that every business must do tax planning. Tax planning is a very important aspect of every business, and therefore understanding which businesses are tax exempt, we feel that is an important step before one comes into business. We will also discuss modes of entry. How does one come into this business? How does one start out in Uganda? And then finally, we shall go through investor frequently asked questions. These are practical aspects that we have every day interacted with while we serve our clients, especially those that are overseas. I would wish to confirm that my screen is properly shared and you are seeing my screen. I'll ask the moderator to confirm if my screen can be seen, because I am in the heart of the presentation now. Mr. Lins, can you confirm that our screen is being shared well?
Yes, the Pearl of Africa.
Yes, thank you very much, Nima. Ladies and gentlemen, a man called Winston Churchill, as early as 1908, wrote a book renowned as My African Journey. He highlighted Uganda's magnificence and a variety of form and color, profusion of brilliant life, its beauty, abundant wildlife, and diversity. And he concluded that Uganda is a pearl of Africa. When you look at my screen, you look at the country and you'll be able to see several water bodies. You'll see mountains. You'll see valleys. You'll see national parks. Uganda has 2 annual rain seasons. It has abundant sunshine. It has fresh water and food. There are several aspects outside business that make Uganda such a wonderful destination for someone who is coming from anywhere in the world. This slide cannot exhaust the number of birds and animals. Uganda has more than 1,000 species of birds that someone who is trekking can see. It is not possible for any tourist who comes to Uganda to exhaust the number of birds. Beautiful. At the center of this presentation is the crested crane. It is placed at the center because of its central part and role in the country. Please allow me go into the microeconomic outlook of the country, where you wish to invest tomorrow, and speak to its economic growth. Its real GDP grew by 6.1 at the end of the financial year 2023 and 2024. And that is from 5.3% for the financial year 2022-2023, as picked from the Ministry of Finance website. We believe that that growth can be tapped in by an investor choosing to invest in Uganda. I will speak to headline inflation, which initially had started rising, but dropped from 8.8% to 3.2%, and which is below the 5% ceiling that is provided by the Bank of Uganda. We can look at the exchange rate gains. The shilling has strengthened in the past many months by up to 1.3%, as against the US dollar, that is as per the performance of the economy report of the Ministry of Finance, Planning, and Economic Development. Look at, I'm taking you more into the macroeconomic outlook. Looking at the fiscal deficit reduced to 9.49 trillion, which is the equivalent of 4.7% of the GDP for financial year 2022 ending 2023, and with planned reforms. We look at the CBR, central bank rate. The central bank lending rate is 9.7%. That is of May 2025. If you are watching from the United States, please check with your CBR rate. If you're watching from China, please check your CBR rate, and you will be able to appreciate the 9.7% since May 2025 is a good CBR rate. I can take you to deposit interest rate. Bank deposit interest rate stood at 11.7% as of April 2025. What about lending rate? The weighted average lending rate on UGX loans was 17.4% as of December 2024. I can now delve briefly into the bonds and treasury bills. Look at the yields. The yields from treasury bill, those that yields was between 9 and 11%. The 92-day bills yielded between 9 and 11%. And then the 182-day bills yielded between 12 and 14%. And then the 364-day bills, they are yielding in between 13.5% and 15.3%. I believe that's not bad performance. I can take you to the treasury bonds. Bonds are the other investment assets that are long-term. A 2-year bond currently in Uganda is able to give you an interest of 14.7%. 5-year bonds are giving you an interest 15.8%, and 10-year bonds are giving you an interest of 16.6%. And then a 20-year bond would give you an interest of 18.8%. It is important to note that long-term bonds require lower payment of withholding tax. So someone who is holding a 14.5, who is holding a 2-year bond, a 5-year bond, a 10-year bond, and a 20-year bond, at point of payment of the interest, which we normally call a coupon, they will only, government will only require payment of withholding tax of 10%. Whereas for the short-term assets, the withholding tax is up to 20%. Please allow me to now move to the Ugandan national priorities as can be picked from the 4th annual development plan. Uganda has been running several development plans. It ran a National Development Plan 1, which closed. It ran a National Development Plan 2, which also closed. It also ran a National Development Plan 3, which also closed. Now, between 2025-2026 financial year and 2029-2030, we are going to be implementing a 4th National Development Plan. It is very important that an investor knows the priorities of government. Now, from this National Development Plan, we are able to know what the priorities of government are. And these are the following, very important. Government intends to sustainably increase production, government intends to sustainably increase production, productivity, and value addition in the following sectors: agriculture, industry, minerals, oil and gas, tourism, ICT, and financial services. So if you are an investor somewhere in China or in UAE or anywhere in the world, and you wish to invest in these sectors that I have mentioned, just know that government has a priority, a stated priority, to ensure that there is development in these sectors. So it would be very good news for you if you intend to invest in these sectors, because government priority means that there will be, firstly, you are able to get government support, and secondly, you can easily negotiate a waiver in terms of taxes and other requirements. Secondly, it intends to enhance human capital development along the entire life cycle. It also intends to support the private sector to drive growth and create jobs. Clearly, any investor coming in here to do investment in Uganda is classified as private sector. It also intends to strengthen good governance, security, and the role of the state in development. I am not shy to say that since the 1986, close to 40 years now, Uganda has been stable from the start of the country, from the south to the north, from the east to the west. We believe that that stability goes a long way in enhancing business. For a business owner, they really need to operate in an area that is stable. So we don't take for granted the fact that Uganda as a country has been that stable for a long time. Now, please allow me take you now to the regulatory scope of business in Uganda. For someone out there in Hong Kong who wants to set up a business in Uganda, what are the entities that will regulate his or her business while in Uganda? Firstly, I will start with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The government of Uganda decided that registration of business will be under one place. So all registration of businesses is done from the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, which we normally abbreviate as URSB. So anyone out there who chooses to register business, if you are told by your lawyer or by your technical person that we are dealing with URSB, please just know that this is the body that is responsible for registering businesses in Uganda. Secondly, the Uganda Investment Authority. Now, any investor coming to Uganda, he is required to be cleared by the Uganda Investment Authority. Clearing with the Uganda Investment Authority is key because it can unlock a waiver in sectors that are priorities to government. And that clearance can be obtained within about 7 days. So no one should really run away from it with a claim that it is tedious. Then thirdly, the Uganda Revenue Authority. Before joining my team to open our farm that we are running today, I used to be a compliance manager for one of the listed entities in this country. As a compliance manager, I learned several things. One of them is that it is better for the business to be compliant from day one. If you are compliant from day one, you may spend a bit of money, but it is best that you do that if you are looking at sustainable growth of your business and development. So I advise, if you come here to set up a business, please ensure that you register for and obtain a tax identification number from the Uganda Revenue Authority. Now, upon obtaining that, mind you, the three things I've talked about, URSB registration, Uganda Investment Authority, and the registration at Uganda Revenue Authority, all of them can be done when you as an investor, you have not stepped in Uganda. All these can be done while you are in your country. But at the time when you want to start operations, you want to travel here, then the Ministry of Internal Affairs comes in. The Ministry of Internal Affairs regulates how legally your immigration protocols have been complied with. It will issue with a work permit, and before you obtain a work permit, you must observe the requirements for obtaining a work permit, including ensuring that you have opened the company here and you have therefore been sponsored by that company. You cannot obtain a work permit if no company sponsors you as either a director or shareholder or as an employee of that company. So it is very crucial that you, after registration with Uganda Revenue Authority, you register with Ministry of Internal Affairs by way of obtaining the legal documents that will enable you to live in Uganda legally. Here I would say something about people who do not have to obtain visas. There are countries, several countries, such as Trinidad and Tobago, Ireland. There are several countries that are visa-free to Uganda. Someone can just buy the ticket and they come to Uganda. It is very important that even if your country is visa-free to Uganda, it is important that you observe that there is a limit to how long you can stay in the country. And at the expiry of that limit, it is very important that you renew before expiry. Generally, world over, visas are not renewed after expiry. If a visa is expired, if you wait for the visa to expire, you will have to travel back to your country for you to be able to renew it. Therefore, it is very important that when you, after registration with the Uganda Revenue Authority, you also ensure that you obtain the applicable work permit that will enable you stay in the country without breaking the law. And I also speak to you about the Kampala Capital City Authority or applicable local government. Now, Uganda operates under different governments, local governments. So where you choose to set up your entity as a foreign national, it is very important that you observe the requirement of the local government that is responsible for that area. I will give you an example. If you choose to set up your business premises in Kampala, then you'll be amenable to the requirements of the Kampala Capital City Authority, and therefore you'll have to obtain a license before you begin operations. Some entities that are that do not need a license, you still, when you go to KCCA, you'll be able to know whether your entity needs a license or it does not. Now, if you are not in Kampala, you are in any other district in Uganda, still that local authority will guide you on the nature of license that you have to obtain before you begin operations. Then the National Environment Management Authority is another entity that regulates businesses that open up here. Now, this authority is responsible for the environment in Uganda. There are many entities that can be set up by a foreign national in Uganda that require an environment impact assessment. For example, if you come here to set up, say, a tree treatment plant in any part of the country, what do you use to treat? Don't you spill the chemical into the lake? Before you start, it is very important that to be safe, you obtain an environment impact assessment report from the National Environment Management Authority so that you are safe in your operations. And then finally, the line ministry. How is the line ministry important for a foreign national who is setting up here? I will give an example of investors who choose to deal in gold refinery and export in Uganda. In Uganda, any investor, any foreign national is free to deal in the business of importing, exporting, and refining precious metals, gold, and all nature of mining. But this sector is highly regulated, and it is regulated by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. That means if you are an investor who intends to come to Uganda to set up a gold smelting or a gold export company, then you would know that the line ministry that should be able to issue with a mineral dealer's license is the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. If you are setting up in education, then you have to obtain a license from the Ministry of Education. If you are setting up a specialized hospital in Uganda, later in the presentation, I will tell you that specialized hospitals are not amenable to taxes. If you as an investor, you choose to come here to set up a specialized hospital in Uganda, you will have to be required to obtain clearance from the Ministry of Health. And so on and so forth, depending on what you want to set up in Uganda. Now, please allow me to take you through Uganda's tax structure. Now, total tax revenues come from either direct or indirect taxes. Under direct taxes, we have personal incomes that are taxed, then corporate income that are taxed. Now, under indirect taxes, we have excise duty, we have VAT, and we also have customs. Now, this may be of very high interest to several people if they want to set up here. Now, these are the sectors and some others, but we have picked these ones that are tax exempt. Now, according to our Income Tax Amendment Act, income derived from private equity or venture capital fund is not taxed. Income from disposal of government securities that we already talked about is also not taxed if it is on a secondary market. Income derived from manufacturing electric vehicles is also not taxed. Now, this is why, the reason why this is so is because government has priorities. Government is very careful on saving the environment, and therefore it is encouraging Ugandans and all those that are in Uganda to use electric vehicles. I have already seen electric vehicles on our streets. I've seen electric motorcycles on our streets. So government is encouraging people to invest in this area. So if you choose to invest in the manufacturing of electric vehicles, you can tactfully avoid the tax. Income derived from manufacture of batteries and charging equipment. Because government also is avoiding dirty energy and encouraging clean energy, it is giving an incentive to those who are manufacturing batteries and charging equipment. This should be of an interest to an intending investor. Income derived from fabricating electric vehicle bodies. And finally, income derived from an operator of a specialized hospital facility. By perusing the Income Tax Amendment Act, you'll see other areas. We only picked these for purposes of our presentation. Now, please permit me take you through modes of entry. Sorry, I think so. Okay, now please permit me take you through modes of entry. Our modes of entry of an investor who chooses to come into Uganda can be the following. And I am not saying that you must satisfy all these, but these are some of the modes of that an investor who intends to come into Uganda may use. One, you can enter this market by registering a foreign company in Uganda. We use the word registration of a foreign company in Uganda because we mean that you are creating a branch of your existing company and you are creating that branch in Uganda. Therefore, you maintain the name of that company, you maintain its memorandum and articles of association, you also maintain all the other documents of your company. What happens is that you certify those documents from the country of origin. If, for example, your country is the United States, you will have to send to your lawyer or to any consultant who is helping you register the company. You will send certified documents. Then those documents will be forwarded to the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And in about 2-3 days, you will have a foreign company, or put differently, you will have registered a branch of your existing company in Uganda. When you do so, you have entered this market by way of registering a foreign company. You can choose that the technicalities of registering a foreign company are many. Then you incorporate a totally new company. Someone might ask, is a foreign national prohibited from incorporating a new company in Uganda? The answer is no. Anybody in the world who has a passport, a valid passport, has an email address, has a telephone contact, and has an address, such a person is eligible by presentation of those 4 documents. Such person is eligible to open and incorporate a new company, either limited by shares or otherwise. The question would be, if I am alone, for example, you want to open a company in Uganda and you are alone, our Companies Act will allow you to open a company alone. The difference is that at the end of that company, you'll see the word SMC, indicating single member company. So our laws allow, you can have a company and you own it alone, and it's a single member company. What is important here is that while registering and incorporating a single member company, you will be required to have an alternate and a nominee director. Why? For purposes of compliance, our Uganda Registration Services Bureau does not want to contact you and you cannot be found. In the event that you are not found, the alternate or nominee directors will be able to respond and cause compliance of your company. Remember, every company that is registered must comply with the requirements of the Companies Act of Uganda. You can also enter the market through a joint venture with an existing company. I know that there are already companies that are set up here, several of them, and you as a foreign national can choose to buy shares in an already existing company. What is important, however, is that once you buy shares, there must be evidence of that purchase. Purchase of shares in a company must be registered with Uganda Registration Services Bureau. If you purchase shares and you only execute an agreement with the company, it is possible that that is a scam. It is very important, please watch out that when you choose to buy shares of an existing company, you register your interest with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. You can also enter this market by way of seeking employment. If you choose to seek employment, you will be supported by the company that is existing, and then you will obtain a work permit and you will have entered the market. Now, please allow me to take you through several questions that have come to us in our practice in respect to how a foreigner deals with several aspects of entry into this market. I will begin with land, because every business sits on land. I've seen many requests from foreign nationals asking me about how they can purchase and own land. Some are building warehouses and are building factories and would want to own in perpetuity the land where they work. Now, let me guide this way. Firstly, the land tenure system in Uganda. The regime since the 1995 constitution is that land belongs to the people. Land belongs to the people of Uganda. However, there are several tenure systems that can enable a foreigner to own land. How can a foreigner own land? Now, the picture that you see on the screen is a picture of a title, a Milo title, what we call a Milo title. Someone who owns a Milo title must be a national. A foreigner is prohibited from owning a Milo title. However, the tenure system allows for a foreigner to register a lease of up to 99 years on a Milo title. We have had an opportunity of executing many of these leases for foreigners. Someone executes a lease for 99 years. It means that they have all full rights of use of that land for 99 years. So, in other words, foreigners can use land fully by way of executing leases or by entering into tenancy. So it appears from our laws that very clearly that a foreigner can own either by executing a lease or by entering into a tenancy. What are the threats that we have discovered over the years dealing with foreigners purchasing land? Firstly, it is important to know which nature of land you are buying. If land is Milo, you must know that you cannot own it apart from executing a lease. So if someone tells you that they are going to transfer land into your names and they have ways of doing it, just know that is not possible because you cannot own a Milo land tenure system because that is only for nationals. What about any legal remedies for a foreign national? I've had instances where foreigners have come here and have started businesses and grievances have arose. When disputes arise, can a foreigner sue in Uganda? Initially, in the past, many times, lawyers would technically, if a foreigner sued, they would apply for security for costs. And the reason that would be given would be that because this is a foreigner with no assets in Uganda, it would be onerous to execute against them. The courts have been very clear on this issue. A foreigner can sue a company or any Ugandan if a dispute arises in respect to the business they are doing. You don't have to give any security for costs. The courts have been very clear on that issue. Can a foreign national maintain a suit through legal representatives? If you are outside Uganda, you have a supply contract. We have a client while protecting their confidentiality, I only mention the name. We have a client in Hong Kong who supplied cables to a Ugandan company and no payment was made. That client did not want to come to Uganda to pursue that data because he was dealing with several other requirements in his country. We were able to represent this client without that client ever stepping here, and we were able to obtain a judgment, and we were able to execute that judgment in Uganda without the foreign national stepping here. And that is possible because of the current video conferencing rules of our courts that have been incorporated into the justice system. It is now possible for a foreign national to sue a company or an individual in Uganda without stepping in their foot in Uganda? And how long does court take to finalize matters if a dispute has arisen and you need to be in court as a foreign national? That depends entirely on the complexity of the matter. Some matters are very complex that they'll take a long time, and some matters are simpler that can be resolved at mediation stage. So it is not possible for anyone to give you a clear timeline within which your matter would be resolved in our courts of law. Of course, I have not forgotten that there's a bit of backlog in our courts of law, so sometimes matters can delay. But finally, there is always an opportunity to get a judgment and also execute against the person who has lost in that battle. Can disputes get resolved through ADR? Someone would want to know if disputes can get resolved through ADR. Yes, Uganda is promoting ADR. I am personally a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitration of the United Kingdom, and I am doing everything possible to promote ADR. Because ADR, for many reasons, ADR will save a lot of your time, and ADR would quickly resolve disputes. Our courts are currently bent towards resolving many, many disputes through alternative dispute resolution, which we normally call ADR. Please also permit me address you on how can a foreign national legally work in Uganda. At the beginning of this presentation, I indicated that any foreign national, upon registering your company or upon coming to Uganda with a visa, it is very important that you are legally in the country, that you legally operate in the country, that you do not overstay your visa, or you do not overstay your permit. Now, I need to say that a foreign national can obtain a work permit in Uganda, and it can take between 2 to 3 weeks. A work permit will be ready. How do you obtain a work permit? Lawyers know how to obtain a work permit, but even other professionals lately are able to process work permits. Even an individual, without necessarily having to seek professional help, you can go process a work permit. Work permits require that you submit documents that confirm and attest to who you are. You must be able to submit your passport. You must be able to submit your curriculum vitae. You must be able to submit documents that attest to who you are, and a document that attests to who you are in the company that is sponsoring your work permit. Foreign nationals can process dependent passes for loved ones. We have clients who are working here as chief executive officers, and they have wives and children. How do they have them? Now, family members of a foreign national who already has a work permit can actually apply for dependent passes, a pass that is dependent on the work permit of the principal, and then they can come into the country, and the time that will be provided in that dependent pass will align to the time that is provided in your work permit, you who is the principal. Please also permit me to look at, can a foreign national contract a marriage in Uganda? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that we don't have any laws that prohibit nationals from contracting marriages in Uganda. Therefore, you can come as one, and at the end of your contract of, say, 2 or 5 years, you go back to your country as 2 or as 3 if God has blessed you with children. Foreign nationals are free to contract marriages in Uganda, and if you choose to conduct what we call a civil marriage, which is conducted by government, you only need within 21 days because of the requirement of the announcements of the marriage bans. So within approximately 25 days, you can have your marriage concluded in Uganda, and then you live happily thereafter. Can foreign nationals institute divorce proceedings in Uganda? Because sometimes when there is a marriage, it is important to anticipate that it could end into bliss, but it may also not work and you file for divorce. I just want to comfort a national who has constructed a marriage in Uganda that our laws are very clear that a foreign national can petition the High Court and will obtain divorce if they find that if they observe the requirements which our laws call the grounds of divorce. If you have the grounds of divorce, which your lawyer can take you through, then you are able to process a divorce and get out of a disturbing marriage. Who can conduct business in Uganda? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to confirm that foreign nationals can conduct all manner of business in Uganda. However, foreign nationals must comply with all regulatory requirements relating to business. I will tell you that just this week, we are presenting this webinar, one of the countries in the East African region has banned non-nationals from engaging in certain manner of business. Uganda is operating differently. Our business structure is in such a way that a foreign national is free to involve in any nature of business, as long as you comply with the requirements of that business requirements. For example, if you are setting up, say, a multinational company, comply with the aspects that we already talked about in this presentation. Ensure that you are compliant, everything will be well. There is no prohibition. There is no nature of business that a foreign national cannot involve into. Also, foreign nationals can be prosecuted for all nature of crimes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are operating in Uganda, it is important to know that if you commit a crime and you are not a diplomat, and in that category, you will be prosecuted and you can even be deported. I would love to end my presentation by taking you through what we called the red flags. How do you know that you might not be successful, or you might, the person you are dealing with or the company you are dealing with might be intending to scam you or does not have good intentions? Firstly, these are just a few. There are many red flags that we have shared in many of our articles on our site, www.ditadvocates.com. But these are just a few that I chose to share with you. How do you identify red flags? Your business partner in Uganda has no identification documents. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching me from your country, somewhere in, say, China, in Hong Kong, in Uganda, we have what we call national identity cards. Our national identity card will identify every national who is in Uganda. Even children have NIN numbers currently. If you are dealing with your business partner in Uganda and you ask them to identify themselves by way of sharing their national identity cards and their passports, because we take that at the moment as the principal, besides the driving permit, we take the national ID and the passport as a principal identification documents. If they are not able to share any of those, but you are dealing with them and you are about to enter into transactions, I would advise you to think twice. Secondly, if your business partner has no physical address, I've had many instances where our clients come to us for guidance on how to find their business partners. They have done businesses with them and they cannot find them. They have no physical address. Ladies and gentlemen, a website is very good, but it is not enough to confirm that there is business existence in Uganda. In Uganda, for any business to be licensed, it should have a physical address. Every day when we are speaking, we talk about our website, and also our website will indicate our physical address. So if you are intending to enter into a business partnership with a company or with an individual, but that individual company does not have a physical location, I would ask you to be slow to think twice. Thirdly, Your business partner has no license to do what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching me from Iran and your business partner in Uganda who is going to sell you precious metals, say gold or diamond, does not have a mineral dealer's license, does not have an export permit, you need to think twice, because our laws prohibit anybody to deal in minerals without a license issued by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. And so the same applies to other sectors. If someone is running a bureau, someone is running a financial institution, but they do not have a license from the authority that regulates financial institutions, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to ask your lawyer to conduct a due diligence to confirm that you are not being scammed. Also, very importantly, if your business partner asks you to send money, you have agreed to purchase shares in a company, or you are only supplying, like our client from Hong Kong who was supplying cables here. You are supplying someone cables, or someone is supplying you something, and then exchange of money, they are not able to give you a bank account. They are telling you that all money can only be sent via Western Union or MoneyGram. It is important to think twice. Businesses here open bank accounts, open and operate bank accounts. And for you to open and operate bank accounts, the banks ensure that several documents of your business are in order. So if your business that you are intending to work with does not have a bank account, it is important to check further. Not that it is scam, but please check twice to confirm that you are dealing with the right person. Also, if your business partner does not pay Uganda Revenue Authority taxes, I have a background in compliance and regulatory compliance, to be specific. I normally encourage businesses to pay tax. I feel that I have no reason to partner with a business that does not pay its taxes. So if the person you want to partner with, or a company you want to partner with, does not pay tax, I advise you to think twice. And finally, if your business partner hates written contracts, you have agreed to do business and you have agreed to just trust them. I am not preaching against trust. You can trust your business partner in Uganda. But I want to advise, please enter into an agreement that spells out your specific obligations and their specific obligations towards the business that you intend to do. If you check that, I feel that you'll be able to survive any nature of scam. I want to thank you for listening to me. And I want to request, I know that our moderators have been picking your questions that you have been dropping in the comment section, or I know they know the technicalities. I am happy to respond to them. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ddamulira. I've been having some questions that have been coming in. Please feel free to send questions. I have around 3, 4, 5 questions. I think I'll read some and you'll be answering as we wait for more questions. One is from Mugahinga Kule from Kenya. He asks, will you share the presentation so that we can watch it again with our team in our free time? And we have another question from Jean. Jean from China says, thank you for the presentation. I am Jean. Please tell me what business Chinese can do in Uganda? Now, there's also a third question from Ahmed. He says, I wish to purchase part of an already existing company in Uganda. Please guide me on whether I'm eligible to do so and the steps to follow. We also have Manson. It is not clear from which country. How long does it take to register a company in Uganda? And lastly, for now, I'm having a question from Chris from Ireland. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I wish to start a business dealing in mineral exportation in Uganda. Please guide me on my immigration-related requirements. Yes, Mr. Ddamulira, you can start with those as we wait for more questions.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I will start with Mr. I don't know whether Kule is male or female, but Kule from Kenya, who requested that this presentation is shared after this webinar. I want to confirm that our technical team has undertaken to share this presentation on our YouTube channel. And in a few days, you should be able to watch it, to rewatch it, and refresh yourself. Secondly, I respond to Jean from China, who asks a very clear question. What business can a Chinese do in Uganda? Jean, I want to confirm to you that in Uganda, as a foreign national, you can do any business of your choice. I indicated in my presentation that as long as you comply with the requirements, regulatory requirements of doing business in Uganda, it does not matter whether you are Chinese or you are Ugandan or you are Eritrean, you can do any business in Uganda. Then the moderator indicated another question whose name I did not pick. Please guide me, Mr. Moderator, the name of the person who wants to purchase an existing company in Uganda.
That is Ahmed from Dubai.
Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed from Dubai wants to purchase an already existing company in Uganda. Mr. Ahmed, this is a very simple process. What is important that we advise is that you conduct the required due diligence. It is not enough to look at the website of that company. Please look at the site, but also confirm that indeed the company does exist. Now, I will take you through the process. The process would require that firstly, you agree. Because in Uganda, pursuant to the Contracts Act, there must be consideration for a contract to take effect. So agree on the consideration for the shares that you have to purchase. Because if you want to purchase an existing company or shares in an existing company, then that company should be able to indicate how many shares you want to purchase and at what price. After you've agreed with that, then you'll have to register with the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and then you'll be issued with the share certificate. Thereafter, you will own the shares that are indicated on your documents. Thank you. Then Mr. Manson from, yes, the moderator indicated that he did not pick where he's asking from. He says, how long does it take to register a company? Initially, it used to take a long time to register a company. But lately, the Uganda Registration Services Bureau has made it registration of companies online. Every lawyer or participant in the registration of companies has a portal. So I am able to submit documents pertaining to the registration of the company from the comfort of my office. That makes the registration of the company swift, and therefore it takes a very short time. This is what I want to say. It can take very long if the documents pursuant to that registration are not in order. The documents pursuant to that registration are known. I indicated those, a list of those documents in our presentation. You should be able to have identification. So if you are a foreign national, say from Hong Kong or from China or from any other place, you must be able to, first document is your passport. That passport must be valid. Have an email address, have a telephone contact and an address. Now, after submitting that reservation of the name of your company, UISB will send us the documents with your particulars. Those documents will require that they have indicate the objectives of your company in a specific document called the Memorandum and Articles of Association, and several other documents. There are many forms, about 6 forms. Now, those forms are sent. We have them signed by you, and then we return them to the registry for the incorporation of the company. Now, if those forms are properly executed and the attached documents are also in order, registration of the company should not take more than 24 hours. I hope that answers the question from Mr. Manson. And then someone from Chris from Ireland. Chris from Ireland wants us to guide on the immigration requirements for him to be able to stay and operate his business in Uganda. I know from my past dealings with our clients in Ireland that Ireland is visa-free to Uganda. Now, the fact that Ireland is visa-free to Uganda, Irish citizens, it does not give them liberty to actually work without obtaining a work permit. Whereas you can come in visa-free to Uganda, that Irish citizen who intends to work in Uganda must also obtain a work permit. After obtaining a work permit, it will spell out how long, up to 36 months, it will spell out how long you are permitted to work in Uganda. So I suspect that Mr. Chris was asking because he's aware that Uganda is visa-free to him. So perhaps he thought that he could just come and work without necessarily requiring to have a work permit. I hope, Mr. Moderator, I have exhausted the questions. I want to thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Ddamulira, before we have another question from an anonymous attendee. The question is, does investing in creation of energy using renewable resources get any tax exempt?
Please, I beg your pardon?
Does investing in creation of energy using renewable sources get any tax exempt?
Yes, we have a specific slide that where we discussed areas that are tax exempt. I discussed in this very presentation that the government of Uganda intends to promote investment in all forms of what we call clean energy. So a participant from out there who wishes to come to Uganda to invest in creation of energy using renewable resources can apply to the relevant authority for a waiver. Remember, all tax waivers are subject to application and satisfaction of all requirements. Yes, true. It is possible to obtain a waiver. I want to thank you, moderator. I hope we are within our timelines and we have exhausted the questions. If there are other questions that are coming through, I know that our technical team is capturing them. We shall be able to respond to them in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our facilitator, Mr. Innocent Ddamulira. I thank all the attendees for this session, and I think we are running out of time. We initially wanted it to be 1 hour. Thank you all for coming and attending this. We will have very many more coming. Thank you.